The Sega Saturn is my current pet project for the year 2025. Today, I want to get into the Sega Saturn here and begin to mod this thing the way it deserves to be modded and enjoyed. And I'll start that process by using this USB-C power mod that I got from Retro 6. I've never pulled a Sega Saturn apart before. I'm very bad at doing any kind of mod, and I get confused easily. So let's just dig into this and see what happens. Before we get into this any further, I want to make sure that you understand that I'm doing this of my own volition. If you are not comfortable working in electronics or you have no experience doing it, you shouldn't. You can hurt yourself, it's not worth it. So, whatever you do, damage to yourself or your system is not my responsibility. Pull your things apart at your own risk to yourself and your consoles. Without further ado, let's pop this open and see what we get, and then figure out how to pop this open to replace it. A little ado before we start this process, actually, a little history on the Sega Saturn. I bought this at a sidewalk sale in what was called Mentor Mall at the time, going back years upon years. And I think it was in box and it was kind of beat up. It was at Sam Goody, I believe, or FYE. And it was just clearance, like $20 or $30. I don't even remember at this point anymore. I took the sticker off, so I can't tell you. But it's been around, and the reality is, I have given it no love. I own maybe 3 or 4 games for it, and I really haven't played it much. And it needs more attention, it needs more love. So the first step in doing that is this power supply, but hopefully we'll add some stuff to it like a mode, and we'll go further with that. Stay tuned to the channel for that. A lot of people have shown me their passion for the Sega Saturn, so I really want to get started on this. And let's see what we got here. I'm going to go top down so you can watch me unbox this power supply, and we can talk about just how insane it is that this right here will replace a large power board and power cord so easily. So right in front of me, I have what we call the clean power supply. Now this is sold and manufactured by a company named Retro 6. You go to a website called Retro 6 US. They have a whole bunch of mods. Some of them are very complex. Some of them, like these power supplies, are very, very easy. Even a layman like me can do so. So I'm going to take everything out of the box here and show you what you get. We have a bunch of power connectors here. We have the actual USB-C port itself where you'll plug power into. We have these 3D printed backings for the port that'll go in the Sega Saturn. And then finally we have this here. This is the Retro 6 Sega Saturn Clean Power Board. I probably shouldn't open it up until I'm ready, but oh, who cares? Pop it open here. And it amazes me. I'm not an engineer. I'm not any kind of repairman. But boy, is it impressive to see something that's been just engineered down to be so small from what it originally was. This is kind of crazy to me. Anyways, that's what we get in the kit there. Everything has a purpose. This is supposed to be a solder-free, you can do it yourself kind of kit. The hard part for me is going to be opening up the Sega Saturn. So pull this to the side here and get into the Sega Saturn. Now I'm sure it's one of those things where find the screws, remove the screws, open it up. I'm pretty sure it's that simple. But where the screws are, I don't know. And which screws we need to get out. Oh, God. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 there. Now the issue is going to be, can I get this in there? That's the magical question of the day. It looks like we can get it in there. Okay, here's our backup plan. Just a good old-fashioned manual screwdriver with a smaller bit there. So I'm doing the stupid thing, which is going to take all the screws out, and then I'll flip it over, let them fall out, and call it a day. As I said before, if you don't know how to open these things up, or if you're not willing to risk damage to your system, don't do it. It's really simple. You can get shocked off the board if you don't know what you're doing, how to discharge it. There's a lot of things that can go very wrong, and you can cause major damage. And a lot of times that damage is not fixable, especially to a system like this, which is very, very old. And there's not exactly a whole bunch of stuff out there to fix the boards. So that's my advice to you. Is that it? Did I find all of them? So there's got 1, 2, 3. I took out 4. Now where's that? Oh, ho, you dum-dum. There you are. So this should just lift off. I don't think there's any connectors that hold. Yay, no connectors. Okay, great. Boy, what's that? That explains why the power button's been sticky. Someone spilled something there. Not sure who. But wow, this is really not that complicated. Okay, there's that reset button there. Probably get something to clean that off with before I put this back together. But here's our power board right here. And I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this here. That's going to be our power to the back there. I'm going to go ahead and pull the screws out of it. So we got one here. Or, oh, maybe it's held in with it. Oh, I see, it's part of it. Okay, so this is part of the power board, these 2 screws here. Now, if you were a normal professional who was competent, you would keep track of where the screws were, what part they went to separately, you'd label them. But me, I like to be frustrated, so we're going to just take our time and do it poorly. That's our goal here. There's a little clip here. I see. That should release it, yeah. It's going to be careful and, oh, straight up, because it's on this header here, so straight up. But this is the old power board, and this is what I want to talk about briefly here, is you go from something like this to something like this that's powered by this here. And that just kind of blows my mind that this much complicated engineering can be reduced to this here powered by a 30-watt USB brick. That's kind of crazy to me. So now let's try to figure out how this works. And I'm guessing And this is what I made a mistake with on the Dreamcast. This here will plug down into this header. That's my guess. It's a very good guess because I think it's right. And then we have to figure out where the rest of this goes. So what do we got here? We got a lot of stuff here. I got my USB-C port itself right here. And I gotta use the, I guess, the black one. They give you a white one. I'm guessing that's for the Japanese models because I don't think anything but the black Saturn was released in the US. And that will probably slot in right here, I'm guessing. All right, well, let's just figure this bad boy out. Okay, so that's probably going to go down to the header there. This is the fun part. All these little screws. These very tiny little screws. Oh, okay, I see what's going to happen. So this is, again, you're experiencing this as I'm experiencing it. Because there's no slots to slot this down into the Sega Saturn, where the power is here, where the power cord used to plug into, what you'll do is you'll use these, what they call these self-tapping screws, and you'll have these two big holes here that you'll screw in from the outside to hold it, or into the inside. We'll have to figure out which one it is, and that'll hold it into place. So that's how they do that. That's how they accomplish that. So there's those there. Now, these power headers here. Now, if you're wondering why I'm struggling, it's because I didn't bother to go on their website. There's all kinds of tutorials. There's videos everywhere online. But I thought it might be fun to get my hands dirty a little bit here, make some mistakes, and see what we can get done. And my wife loves editing long, rambling videos. It's practically her hobby at this point. Let me do the hard part first, and then I'll figure everything else out. It's a big fix for the design problem that some of the other power boards I've seen have. Not Retro 6 stuff, but other power boards. Now, the people might ask me, why are you doing this? Why are you changing this over to USB-C? Well, first off, the amount of power cords that I have to keep at school and power bricks and adapters I have to buy when I want to move things around either down here or at school is just very frustrating. I have a whole bin here and at school of power supplies, and I don't even have all the ones I need. I frequently have to buy 1 or 2 power supplies per system, and if I could just have USB-C bricks at home and at school and not have to worry about hauling the right adapter, unplugging it, plugging it back in, fishing the cords, and then you fish the cords out of the back of the entertainment stuff over here, and God knows what happens because then you unplug one other thing, and it's a very frustrating experience. So that's the reason why I'm trying to start doing all these clean power mods. Now, this one here in the Dreamcast, the easiest ones I've seen. The other ones do require some soldering knowledge. I don't have that, so I will most likely be paying for someone to do that. I got this all screwed in here, so we're all ready to go with the USB-C actual port here. We got this jumper, this adapter. What do you call these things? You're gonna get power from here to this board. Now I'm sure they keyed it so you can't mess it up. So too big, too small to go in here. Definitely can't go here. But hey, look at that! It can go right here. It's keyed, so I can't screw this up. This is why I buy these kits because I can't. There we go. Okay, this here would probably go right in there. That's your power switch. Let me show you what's going on here. So we have that little cable that goes into the actual USB port itself that will sit in the back of the Saturn like so, probably like this, so it's a little bit inset. We then have this here. This is your power switch. It plugs into the back of that clean power board. That's what comes over here, and we press that, powers it on and off. It cuts the circuit. Then over here, we have this lead, and I'm not sure what it's for exactly. Now, this is where you want to get a little bit more, not rough, but when I was doing the Dreamcast Clean Power, and I'll show you the videos, you'll see them on the channel eventually, I didn't press hard enough on this to put it into these pins here. You take this right to the header, and you just push a little bit harder than you want to. Then you're in. You're solid, you're good to go, no problems. So there's our Retro 6 Sega Saturn Clean Power Supply, all installed and ready to go. So as you can see, and as you can probably hear in this video if you're still watching, I have no clue, I have a very small clue what I'm doing, and that was not difficult for me to do. So if you're interested in doing this, it would not be challenging for most people. But again, I always warn you, do it at your own risk. What I'm going to do right now is just do a quick test and see if it works. I'm going to plug it in, and as long as it boots up into the sequence of the Sega Saturn, I think we'll be golden, and I can clean this up and zip this up and get it done. So let me do that real quick. The one thing I want to make sure everyone understands before I go any further with this is that you must use a USB-C charger that can supply 30 watts. It has to be a 30 watt at least USB-C charger. Anything else in it won't work. Okay, so we have success here. We got our green lights on. Everything's running just fine. This didn't really matter. And if you see over here on our Tinkerbell TV, you can hopefully see the Sega Saturn menu is all ready to go. So it worked, it booted. That means it's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up and zip this bad boy up and call this so far a successful, very easy, we've been doing this for like about 15 minutes mod. So we'll power it off, and I'll show you one more time just to make sure we're all good. Why isn't it powering off? Why isn't it powering off? I am not messaging anyone again. I'll figure this out myself. Why is that not working? That's on. It's just like permanently on now. Okay, so I'm having some issues with this board, and I figured it was a user error, and it always is a user error with me. And I didn't bother. I went and watched the video because there are tutorials online from Retro 6 on how to install these things, so you really can't mess it up. And you should watch the video first. Don't watch this one. Watch this one for entertainment. When you install this board to the Sega Saturn, what you have to do is make sure you start at the very bottom pin. So bottom pin to bottom pin. This has 6 pins. There's only 5 on mine. So I had to start down here in this hole, and then put it there, and then push down till I'm uncomfortable. Okay, so there's a couple things we got to talk about here. So I have this cable, and if you watch the video, early in the video I say this must be for the mode or something. That's not the case. There are some revisions of the Saturn power board that require you to use this pigtail to reach the power jumper on the board. So that's what that's for. I don't need this in mine. My power board is one of those directly into the main board itself. So we were good there. I don't need this. Don't need to put this on. It's for nothing as far as I can see. Second thing, there are these little switches up here. It's hard to see them, but there's one that says power on. There's one which is voltages. You have, I think it's 5 to 3.3, and then you have one for 12 volt or 9 volt. The way this arrived, these two are set, good to go. This one, I had to turn to the down position to fix it. So I'm not sure if it was just my bad or my model, but there are a bunch of models of Saturn floating around, and I'm assuming that mine was a little bit odd, and that I had to do this instead. So if you've done the install perfectly and you're having issues getting the Saturn itself to power off, first thing you can try to do is first off contact Retro 6, and they might tell you to change this switch here. So I put this switch down in this position, and all of a sudden it worked just fine. So it was definitely an error on my end, as usual. That's not too surprising. You're not watching this because I'm proficient or know what I'm doing. You're watching this to hopefully come on a journey with me, an absolute amateur, and just watch me make mistakes and learn in real time. And I have learned a lot so far. And I know it's sad to say, but you can sit there and watch videos, you can watch lectures, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. But really, the only way to learn how to do this stuff is get your hands dirty and make mistakes. And as long as you're in the position to be able to afford to make mistakes, hey, go for it. But I think we're done with this. I think the board is all good. Everything's working as it should. And thank God zipping it up is as quick and easy as doing this. Come on, line up. So it's as quick as easy. Well, that is lined up. Why does that feel wrong? That's a weird gap. Okay, we'll do that. We'll zip it up, and we'll call it quits. I think that's all we need to show you, though, for this video, and I really appreciate you coming along for this journey with me. It's been a very, very long, disrupted video, but in general, if I had been better versed in electronics, the whole disassembly, installation, testing, and reassembly probably would have taken me less than, I'd say, 15 minutes. That's not even an exaggeration. Probably, if you're versed, 10 minutes at best. So that was the Retro 6 Clean Power Mod for the Sega Saturn, something I'm glad I got, and it's the first step towards making this Sega Saturn my ultimate Sega Saturn, which I hope to do this year. Hopefully you'll join us on that journey of making this Saturn the best it can be. Hope to see you on the journey, and until the next time, we'll see you then.